Thanksgiving is here, but it's hard to be thankful when Russia has taken over our democracy, the White House is run by a lunatic fascist, and white supremacists are running rampant through our streets, carrying assault weapons with chainsaw bayonets, while women cower in fear that Republicans will grab their crotches if Democrats ever let go of them long enough for Republicans to get a hand in. Fortunately, there's a solution. Turn off CNN because in real life, things are actually pretty damn good. Meanwhile, with Charlie Rose fired, Democrat John Conyers under attack, and one of the founders of Pixar stepping down as the sex scandal spread, the late Andrew Breitbart actually left conservative heaven and came back to earth to deliver this message to Hollywood, Congress, and the press. Breitbart was ahead of his time. We have the mailbag coming up, so if you still have any problems left, prepare to have them solved. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, Lord, zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, so I cracked myself up there, which is a good thing because I'm the last person left in LA. The people in this studio, it's like one of those apocalyptic zombie movies. Look at this. If you're watching, you got to look at this picture of the traffic leaving LA yesterday. It's unbelievable. I mean, that is what Los Angeles looks like the day. What is 2 days before Thanksgiving? This is the other thing about Hollywood. Nobody does any work here, so it's like basically as the weekend approaches, it's always 2 days before. Look at that. Look at that. As Jess was saying, if we put some green in there, it would be Christmas, right? It's like, it really is. That is really something else. I didn't see any of it. Did you guys get caught in this at all? No, yeah, man. So it's a trick. Just stay off the freeways and you'll be fine. So we are here by ourselves in LA. It's now a completely empty city, except for those guys shuffling around eating people's brains. And it's Thanksgiving. There's not that much news going on. I see people like reporting things like, some guy hung up on Trump or something like this. I just think like please, there's no news. So we're going to talk about, it really is true. If all you did was listen to the media and get on social media and listen to the news, you would think this year had been one crisis after another. But in fact, it's been really good. It's not so much, So I thought I would talk about some of the things that I'm thankful for. And I think, listen, gratitude is the key to happiness. I mean, everybody will tell you this. This is not an original thought. But, the first prayer I ever said, the first serious prayer I ever said as I was converting was, thank you, God. That was it. That was the first prayer I ever said. Transformed my life. It actually did. Actually, the next day I woke up and I felt so connected to the world. And so, because, I mean, if you're not dying, if you're not ill, which is a terrible thing, and if you're not starving, which obviously is a terrible thing, and if you're, you've got something in your life that you love or someone in your life that you love, you have to be grateful to connect to it. Otherwise, it just disappears. It really is. So I'm going to talk about some of obviously the political things that I'm thankful about, but I do want to start out, and I don't want to do this in a sentimental way, but I do want to start out by saying I am really thankful for all of you guys who are watching or listening to this. Yesterday, I asked people if they would show up and give me a little hand with Another Kingdom, bolster it up a little bit, and they sent it up. It's like number 14 on the arts list and all these, and I'm really grateful. I really am. And I'm grateful for doing this. I mean, I love doing this. I did not know. I did this as a flyer. I did it because I really love Jeremy Borean. Don't tell him I said this. If you tell him I said this, I'm going to call you a liar. But I just think Jeremy Borean, the God King of the Daily Wire, great guy. Really, really fond of Shapiro. I know. I like Shapiro more than Shapiro likes Shapiro. Shapiro's not allowed to like Shapiro, but I like Shapiro. And they said, come on over. We were doing this at Truth Revolt, and they said, come on over and do this. And I just thought, I'll take a crack at it. It's like I had plenty of work to do, so I wasn't like really looking for it. But I have been shocked at how much fun it is, and how creative it is. I mean, that's always the thing. Like, my whole thing is making stuff. I like to make stuff. And I didn't think this was going to be like making stuff. I was afraid it would just be blathering, but it really has. Some of these shows have been, really creative, really have informed what I'm writing about and thinking about. And it's just, I don't know. It just has been a terrific thing. And, the other thing that I was so afraid, this is really true. When we lost Truth Revolt, I was so afraid that I wouldn't have a voice in the election, that the election would come and go and I wouldn't have anything to say. Instead, we were in the thick of it, and I was wrong about a lot of things, and everybody was wrong about a lot of things, but still, I was really glad I had something to say because, it is not enough. We always talk about how we're this smash mouth site and we're fighting the left and we're melting the snowflakes, but it's not enough to fight the left. It's not enough to expose the left's lies. You have to express your truth. You have to say why you believe what you believe and what it is that we believe. And I think that we all have a sort of place in this. The way the Daily Wire works, we have Shapiro who kind of deconstructs the news and looks at each thing in a very insightful way, and I kind of take a bigger cultural and spiritual look. And I don't know what Knowles does. What is? They don't pay him, do they? No, I don't know what he still must be doing something, but I have no idea. But anyway, I think it's not just saying they're wrong, because ultimately that's an empty way to fight, because they'll win. They will win if we don't say why the right is right. And I just think I am genuinely grateful for that. I want to take just a quick look. There's not a lot of news today. I could talk about Germany, but I don't want to. It's like it's very interesting. Everybody keeps talking here about how unpopular Trump is, but Trump is actually more popular than than the people in Germany who kind of represent the establishment that he's replacing. And the German coalition, Merkel's German coalition, is falling apart. And they're afraid to have another election because the right wing is on the rise. And in Germany, the right wing is not like our right wing is going, Constitution, freedom. Their right wing is like, kill everybody. So they're a little bit more nervous about that. The only thing that really did happen is Trump was on his way off to holiday, and they stopped him and they peppered him with questions about the Roy Moore thing. And he had two things to say where he took a stand, but it's not the stand the press is saying he took. What he took a stand where first he said that, he said that Moore denies it. So play cut 5 first. And he says, he doesn't know it's true.
Is an accused child molester better than a Democrat? Is an accused
Well, he
child
denies
molester
it.
better
Look,
than
he
a
denies it. I mean, if you look at what is really going on and you look at all the things that have happened over the last 48 hours, he totally denies it. He says it didn't happen. And, you have to listen to him also. You're talking about, he said 40 years ago this did not happen. So.
And then he said this about who he wants to see in the Senate is cut 4.
I can tell you one thing for sure. We don't need a liberal person in there, a Democrat. Jones, I've looked at his record. It's terrible on crime. It's terrible on the border. It's terrible in the military. I can tell you for a fact, we do not need somebody that's going to be bad on crime, bad on borders, bad with the military, bad for the Second Amendment.
So you heard what he said, right? He said Moore denies it. He's not saying the women are lying. He's just saying Moore denies it, and he likes him better than the Democrat. So here is Morning Joe, and this is typical. I picked this out only because it's typical of the news reports. Here is Willie Geist on Morning Joe, cut number 7, reporting what you just saw.
Talk about the politics of this. Think about the morality of it. Just put the race aside for a second. You have the President of the United States now saying clearly and out loud that he takes the side of Roy Moore. He takes the word of Roy Moore versus the word of the 9 accusers. He made that very clear yesterday. So if your moral code doesn't dictate that you come out strongly against someone who's been accused of these things, maybe a political strategic argument would prevail on the president, which is that you win this seat, this Senate seat for Roy Moore. It's a Pyrrhic victory because you will be saddled, as you all have just said, as the party of a pedophile for the rest of Roy Moore's term. And by the way, the president will be saddled with that. To say you stood up in this moment of truth, you stood up and took the side of an accused pedophile.
So was that me? I mean, I didn't see that happen. I mean, look, he's playing, Trump is being a politician. He's playing this in a political way. He could take the high ground and say, we always are going to believe the women and all this stuff. But he says, I don't know. And as long as I don't know, I would prefer not to have a Democrat. But he certainly didn't endorse Moore. And he certainly didn't do what guys, the other guy, John Heilman, he was Mark Halperin's partner, also on Morning Joe. But they did this thing together called The Circus or something for HBO where they followed the election. And he goes on and he says, Trump identifies with Roy Moore. I thought, how the hell do you know what Trump identifies with? What are you reporting from inside his brain now? It's like you're reporting, yes, I'm inside the president's brain and he identifies. I thought, do you identify with Mark Halperin? It's like, it's utterly ridiculous. But the only other cut I want to play from yesterday was that Moore's opponent, Doug, Jones, he's on with Chuck Todd and talking about the fact that he is an abortion extremist. I mean, he believes in abortion basically until the kid's like 18, I think, is when, you can just blow him away. So this is the opponent. See, this is the thing. All year long, we've been listening to the left tell us how awful we are for endorsing Trump, as if his opponent had been Abraham Lincoln. His opponent was this creepy little crook who has been lying to us for 30, 40 years. And, even if you hate Donald Trump, the choice was between those two people. So here's the other guy in this story. Listen to what he says.
What are the limitations that you believe should be in the law when it comes to an abortion?
Well, look, I am a firm believer that a woman should have the freedom to choose what happens to her own body. And I'm going to stand up for that, and I'm going to make sure that continues to happen. I want to make sure that as we go forward, people have access to contraception, they have access to the abortion that they might need, if that's what they choose to do. I think that's going to be an issue that we can work with and talk to people about from both sides of the aisle. It's one of those. But
you wouldn't legislate, so you wouldn't be in favor of legislation that said ban abortion after 20 weeks or something like that?
Now, I'm not in favor of anything that is going to infringe on a woman's right and her freedom to choose. That's just the position that I've had for many years. It's the position I continue to have. But when those people, I want to make sure people understand that once a baby is born, I'm going to be there for that child. That's where I become a right to lifer.
If you can live through the pregnancy, Doug is there for you. If you can survive these people. I once saw Michael Caine receive an award from critics. I always remember this. I was at the award ceremony, and he received an award from critics. It was the Critics Award at the end of his career, basically. He was, already 80 or something like this. And Caine said, this is like receiving an award from snipers for having survived the war. So that's like having Doug Jones on your side as long as you don't get aborted 10 minutes. A baby was just born 21 weeks, and was viable, was kept alive, and is now doing very well. So what the hell is he talking about? He's talking about killing babies. So, it's like a hard choice to make. I do believe many of the accusers of Roy Moore. They seem really plausible to me. But this guy, it's like, they're calling him a pedophile. Fair enough. But this guy's a child killer. I mean, why is that any different? I don't understand exactly how that changes anything. All right. I forgot to mention the mailbag. The mailbag is today. I almost forgot. Oh, no, I didn't. I mentioned it before the song. Now I remember. Okay, sorry. When you're here by yourself and the entire city is empty, you get a little confused. All right, so let's talk about I am genuinely thankful for this year, and I'm not just for the show, which I have loved. I'm really thankful you guys showed up for Another Kingdom. I'm glad it's doing so well. It's been a wonderful, wonderful year, but politically it's really interesting. And the reason, I was once. The reason I feel, I was saying how when I said a prayer of thanks, it connected me to the world. And the reason I feel that that's true is that everything that matters in life comes from us, not from the world. I was once on an elliptical machine next to some environmental guy at the gym, right? And we're both on the machines and we start talking. And he was going on giving me this environmental guff, and he was talking about it. So I said, I would rather kill, he was talking about how beautiful the jaguars were or something like this. And I said, I would rather kill every jaguar than do harm to any human being. And he said, oh, I'd get rid of all the human beings because the jaguars are so beautiful. And I said, no, because if you get rid of the human beings, the jaguars aren't beautiful anymore. The beautiful is a human category. Beautiful is when a human being looks at a jaguar, then it's beautiful. A jaguar isn't even swift if a human being is there, because the concept of swift is in the mind of people. And the question that is always out there, the question of faith, is whether what's in your mind is being sent into it from God. Is there such a thing as an objective standard of beauty, an objective standard of morality, an objective standard of meaning? This is the thing that the left has been constantly, and intellectuals have been constantly telling us now for it's about 500 years, that no, there's no such thing as meaning. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Morality, your morality is different than my morality. And what those of us who have faith say is, no, this is coming from somewhere. This is also, this is the mind of God coming through God's creation. And gratitude is one of the things that connects you with that reality, and it makes the world real. Gratitude is what makes the world real. That's why people practice gratitude. That's why they do it as a practice. They say that, wake up every morning and say, I'm thankful for this and for this and for this, because it connects you to the reality of those things. It's what I called in my book, The Great Good Thing, the joy of my joy. It connects you. Don't just have the joy, you can experience the joy through gratitude. So here are some things I am grateful for. Play cut 8.
In America, there's a failure to appreciate Europe's leading role in the world. There have been times where America has shown arrogance. The struggle for women's equality continues in many aspects of American life. There is a long history in this country of African Americans and Latinos being stopped by law enforcement disproportionately. And that's just a fact. I realize that America's critics will be quick to point out that at times we too have failed to live up to our ideals, that America has plenty of problems within its own borders. This is true. So yes, we have our own racial and ethnic tensions. Our most costly mistakes came not from our restraint, but from our willingness to rush into military adventures. In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, we did some things that were wrong. We tortured some folks. We did some things that were contrary to our values.
I am so thankful that guy's not president anymore. I cannot tell you that droning, apologetic, anti-American garbage that he spewed. And a lot of those cuts were not from him sitting in the White House press room. They were from him at the UN and from him at Cairo, talking to tyrants and, just people who destroy their own people, apologizing for this country. Are you kidding me? I am so glad that weight is off the political mind. People keep picking on Trump for the fact that he has this antic sense of humor, the fact that he's willing to say, when he got those UCLA guys out of China, and then one of the fathers said it wasn't his fault, and he said, I should have left him there, and everybody said, that's a horrible thing. I was in stitches. I mean, the guy is funny, he's light, he's vibrant, he's alive. I got problems with him. I've talked about my problems with him, but at least he doesn't apologize for America. I mean, at least he says this is a great country. He obviously loves the country. He's made millions here and billions. Obama was elevated with no experience whatsoever to the highest office in the land, and it never occurred to him to be grateful. It never occurred because he thought it was his birthright. He thought it was his birthright, and with all those apologies, he was going to come down from Olympus and deliver these incredible, enlightened policies, and how wonderful they were all going to be, and they all failed. And it never once, not once, did it occur to him to say, the Middle East wasn't on fire when I took office, and now it's in flames. Maybe it's me. The government, the economy has done so much better all through American history. Maybe it's my stupid healthcare plan that's sitting on it like a weight. It never occurred to him. The arrogance and all this. Joe Hill, wonderful writer, the son of Stephen King. And obviously King's a big liberal, and I guess Joe Hill is too. But Hill is, I love, he writes scary stories like his dad, and really entertaining. I really like his stuff. But he tweeted today that, wow, we'll never see such decency and such, goodness again as we saw with the Obamas in the White House. And I don't feel they were bad people or evil people. I don't feel he was beating his wife. I don't feel he was cheating on his wife. I don't feel he was bad to his kids, any of those things. But he was corrupt, and he was corrupt because he was arrogant. And it's such a breath of fresh air to have him gone, you know? I mean, it is funny to me. Part of the thing that has been hilarious to me with all these attacks on Trump, they can't lay a glove on him because he just probably didn't do anything. I mean, he's been very open about his wanting to have good relationships with Russia, but he obviously didn't sit around helping them skew the election in any illegal way, where this guy did illegal stuff all the time. And they never touched him, and just the constant lies, the constant corruption, the constant arrogance, the constant superiority, and the constant hatred of America. I am so thankful that's gone. And you forget, you know, after 11 months, what a drag he was, you know. I got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, but the mailbag is coming up. That means that you are going to be stuck with your problems if you don't come over to thedailywire.com and subscribe. You can listen to the show there if you subscribe for a lousy $10. A lousy $10. You can not only watch the whole show on the site, you can be in the mailbag next time. You can ask your questions next time. So that thing that's been keeping you up at night, it could be solved, because the answers, you know, you get in the mailbag, they are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life every now and then for the better. Plus, if you subscribe for a year, it's a lousy $100, and you get the Leftist Tears mug, which we are going to keep filled not only through Christmas, but all through next year. This Leftist Tears mug is going to magically fill up by simply our destroying the left every day. Come on over to thedailywire.com.